Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. This is Sandy, and Vineyard Chicks, I'm wearing your t-shirt. Good morning, girls. Well, it's Monday morning, and this morning we're talking about cloches. That's a French word for bell. When they were first made, they were always made out of glass. They had a little knob on the top, and they would put them over plants to extend their season. Sometimes it was in the spring, sometimes it was in the fall, and they were different sizes. Sometimes people use these even as terrariums inside over houseplants. Sometimes they're starting plants and they use these, but most of the time people use them in the garden. Now this one is a plastic one. I literally got this at the Dollar Tree store, $1.25. I was so excited. On the top, the plastic ones have vents, so you turn it at night to hold the heat in. You turn it this way so that there's actual holes that you can water. Two, it can help let the heat escape when it gets too hot during the daytime. Now, there's a lot of different things you can use. Things that you don't actually even buy. Like back in the garden, I'll show you where I just have some lamps that went on a fan, and I covered my celery at first with those, just so they had some time to grow, so they didn't get cool in the evening and nighttime. Now anymore, even though cloche means bell, they come in a lot of different shapes, a lot of different sizes, and people still call them that. But originally, they were a bell shape, and in French, it means bell. Now, why do you use those? Now, one of the things that you can do in the springtime is to warm your soil. About a week or two before you start your plants, in which you're going to cover the plant with a cloche, you can literally put that down in there, because they all come with these little holes that you send wires through so that it secures them, because the wind would just blow these away. You heat up the soil. It warms that soil, and it can literally warm it up inches down, so that when you put that small seedling in there, it can have a better chance of survival, especially if it all of a sudden turns cool. If you have these on your plants in early spring and it's going to snow all of a sudden, leave these on and then cover everything with a blanket, plastic, fleece, something that will help hold the moisture and the heat in there. On a given day at night, it should be 3 to 4 degrees warmer in here. So if it's going to be down to 32 degrees and you don't want it to frost, know that inside here, it should be 35 to 36 degrees, so it shouldn't frost. Now, one of the things you want to make sure is that your leaves are not touching the outside. Those could frost, even though the rest of it's warmer in there. Another reason to use them, say you have a weed problem in that area. Put those out 2 to 3 weeks beforehand. It warms the soil, it'll start the weeds to germinate, they'll start to grow, and you can easily pull them before you actually put your seedling in there. Sometimes people use them, they're just planting seeds. It just gives it a greenhouse effect, a greenhouse environment. And so that a lot of times they will germinate more. Now, how do you water with those? Now, these ones are nice because they have holes on top and you can put the water on top. Sometimes people just remove them. Other times people will water around the perimeter and just soak that, and it will make it so that it'll soak down in where the roots are also. There's a lot of different ways. For me, I think it's easier just to water right through that hole. Now, if you don't have something that you purchased, what could you use that you have around the house? How about milk jugs, juice jugs? You know, sometimes you buy those great big juices. Cut off the bottom. It's nice because that lid can give you that ability to close it and unclose it. Now, you have to hook those down somehow. Sometimes people will just bury them deeper and put mound soil around them. Sometimes people will take a bamboo stake and stick it through the hole in the top. And I've done that with jugs and large soda pop bottles, because you can use those also. But use your imagination. You can form wire cages and put plastic over them. Same kind of idea. You can buy them actually that are made of bamboo, and then at night you cover them with fleece or a blanket or plastic so that it holds that heat in there. Now don't be putting that on at 8 o'clock at night. It's dark, and then expect it to stay warm. When the sun starts going down, that's when you want to cover it so that it retains that heat that it's built up in the soil so that it stays warm for your plant overnight. Now, other things that it can really help with. Say you're planting radishes. Now, flea beetles love radishes, and they love other plants, and they'll really go after those young, tender leaves. By using a cloche, you're protecting it, and so that they can't get in there. The only time they could get in there is if their eggs were already in the soil. But it can help. It can help with airborne diseases, with other pests that might want to eat those small leaves of your seedling, and actually birds even. It protects it so the birds can't eat them. Down here in Arizona, the birds love young tender leaves, and so you have to protect them somehow. Maybe you have wire garbage cans that you're not using. You can purchase them at the dollar store usually. You can put those over top of them, and at night you cover them. It just protects your plant. Now, can there be some problems? There can be. You know, there can be too much of a buildup of heat, and you could literally fry your little plant in there. So you have to know your weather. If it looks like it's going to get way too hot, you need to either use some kind of screen or mesh to cool that down some, or take the cloche off of it during, when it's 90 degrees. It's just too hot for them. But usually in early spring, your days are 70s, early 70 degrees, early 80 degrees, and the cloche will work perfect. You just have to vent it. Now, if you do not water them, don't expect the rain to water. It's just not enough holes in the top to make it enough water system in there. So hand water with a hose. Now sometimes when it rains hard, it's going to soak that soil around that perimeter and you'll be fine. But just make sure that you're checking on your plants to make sure that they're still okay. Now other things that you might use are plastic food boxes. I have seen people turn them upside down and at night just put plastic over top of them. They're nice because they're movable. You can move them from one plant to another. Say you're mid-season and you're needing to start some plants. You can put that on there, especially even if you're not only putting it on at night if it's going to be cool. It'll just help and protect your plants. I think they're a good investment, but think outside the box. Why not use things that you have? If you have some of those great big 5-gallon water jugs, you refill them at the stores, cut the bottoms off of those. They make a fabulous cloche, and because it is a total greenhouse effect. And they're heavy duty, they last a long time, and if you have them available to you, use them. But look around your house, see what you have to protect your plants during the day and at night when it gets cooler. I think they're a fabulous thing to have in your garden. This was such an exciting find at the Dollar Tree store. I never knew that they ever sold them, so I bought 10 of them. That's what they had there that day. And it's a great investment. So I'm going to use these next fall when we come back to Arizona, because sometimes the nights are cool. Sometimes they can get all the way down into the 40s. Now, you can buy these in so many different sizes. A lot of times we just think this size, but they actually have made them big enough for whole tomatoes plants in the fall that will literally go over top of the whole tomato. It just depends on what you want to do. And think about ways you can do it yourself. One of the other things that these are used for is to blanch vegetables, like endive. how you want to blanch it white. So what people do is they use a cloche and they line the inside with straw or fleece, something that will block out the sunlight. And then they set it over the plant, and it makes it so it will blanch that endive white. That's the same idea as when they're trying to blanch rhubarb, so that the stalks are very light colored, you know, because it needs a total darkness. It's that same idea. One suggestion I would have for you, if you need to open and close these, set it on your phone as a timer so that you don't forget, because we get busy. So set it when you need to open these up in the morning, when you need to close them at night, and you won't have to worry about it, because your phone will ring for you and tell you, hey, go close all of those cloches, go open all of those in the morning, and your plant will be happy. And when your plant gets bigger and stronger and the temperatures rise, you just take these off, wash them out, bleach water if you have any kind of problem in your garden, and store them after they're completely dry in your shed or wherever you store your other garden equipment. So everyone, like, subscribe, share with the world. If you have made a cloche yourself out of something interesting, put it in the comments below so other people have those ideas too. And if you email me a photo, I'll put that on my community tab so people can see that. But remember, there's a lot of different sizes of cloches for a lot of different plants for a lot of different reasons, but use them. It will enhance your gardening experience. And I will see you next time.